Geeks Assembled.
Hi, Geeks Assembled. It's Chase Masterson from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Live long and prosper. And thanks for supporting the Pop Culture Hero Coalition. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and at our website, popcultureherocoalition.org. We're standing against bullying, and we'd appreciate your support.
Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and we have gathered here once again. This time we are going to be talking about the latest Star Wars film, The Last Jedi. Now, some people hate it, others love it, but what do we think? Let's go to Susan and Alex for their opening thoughts on this film. What do you guys think of The Last Jedi? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, yeah. Star Wars. So exciting to have so much Star Wars these days. I'm like, you know, it's like a glut of good stuff. I really enjoyed the Last Jedi. I love the development of Rey's character. I love the development of Poe Dameron and Finn and their richness and you know, they're good characters too. And I enjoyed the droids, and I enjoyed how Snoke's spoilers get sawed in half, and that was pretty cool because that's kind of a nod to Qui-Gon Jinn. So I mean, like it was awesome. There was some really good stuff in it, and I say, oh yeah, Star Wars, oh yeah.
Well, I liked it better than Force Awakens, but unfortunately I really didn't like it. Just like the first three movies that everybody saw, not the prequels, even though that had a couple of good characters in it. Qui-Gon as well. Yeah, I mean, that's the other question. Not only the modern politics and how a lot of the characters, especially the female characters, seem to be insulting the male characters, even though, what's his name, Kylo Ren seems to have quite a few temper tantrums as well, is the fact that the original first three movies in the 70s and the 80s were much better than the prequels, and are still better than these new versions from Disney that bought out Lucasfilm. And unfortunately, with Carrie Fisher dying in such a strange and on a plane somehow, and then they didn't work even two scenes with Han, Luke, and Leia, their fictional characters, together. And then, of course, spoilers in Force Awakens, Han gets killed. So it's kind of like, wow, we're only going to have Chewbacca and C-3PO in the new movies. We don't even have Lando, who is an Empire. So even though I like this movie better than Force Awakens, I don't know if they're trying to modernize it, if they're sort of making fun of all the movies that came before it, if there's too many male characters, so now they're trying to downgrade and have only female characters. I'm not entirely sure. Although I did like the ending. So the last 30 minutes of the film I really liked, as opposed to Force Awakens, which I did not like. And as much as I like the cast in both movies, the characters seem to be, you know, It's like super fast forward. It's like I'm watching a DVD or a VCR, and there doesn't seem to be any growth. You know what I mean? There doesn't seem to be any growth of how Luke came about, how Han changed. Do you know what I mean? So there doesn't seem to be any character development that made the first three movies so endearing. And because there wasn't going to be 16 movies like there is now with Disney, Marvel, I understand it's the same company, but the problem is it hurts the storytelling if there's always going to be 500 chapters, because then what character growth can you have? Because there's going to be 500 chapters. So, you know what I mean? Whereas the original movies, it was Star Wars: A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. So things had to be resolved within those first three movies. But if you're going to go on to 40 movies, what can be resolved, really? And there's no character development because, you know, I mean, you know what I mean? It just seems like they're sort of, no, that's fine. I understand people are going to, but I'm saying that on purpose. And then a lot of the things in both Force Awakens and The Last Jedi weren't explained. Like, why is Leia floating through space even if it's
We'll get to that.
Yeah, it doesn't.
We'll get to that. Don't worry.
It's pretty, but it doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of plot development, plot structure, and all that. Okay. But like I said, I did like Last Jedi much better than Force Awakens.
And let's head on over to Wales, where the sun is always shining. And our little ray of sunshine, it's Stephen Price.
No, it's never sunshine. You're wrong, Alan.
Is it not? You're always saying in the chat how sunny it is in Swansea.
No, I'm not.
How wonderful sunny Swansea is. You're always bragging about it. You make us jealous.
We've had rain about a week before Christmas, and it finally stopped last night.
Oh, just for this cast, obviously, for this cast.
Must be. The sun has been out all day. Would you believe it?
Well, that's the magic of Geeks Assembled. But what did you make of The Last Jedi?
Well, the version I watched was absolutely terrible. You know, there's some of the because I seen it online. Oh, and I could hear one person eating his popcorn.
Oh God!
Somebody getting up in the middle of the cinema. I could see his head. The shape of him walking. What did I think of the film? Well, I thought it was one of the best for action. I really, like Alex said, the last 30 minutes was really, really stunning, And it's a shame Carrie Fisher is not with us anymore. Yeah, excellent. I really enjoyed it, but I want to see it on DVD, to enjoy it more, not the dreadful streaming one that you've seen.
Oh, it'll be out in a few weeks, I can guarantee you. Yeah. So let's go to Brian, because you're a big Star Wars fan, aren't you, Brian? Are you a fan of The Last Jedi?
I don't know. Am I?
I don't. That's why I'm asking the question.
I'm just kidding.
Oh dear. Read the script. Stick to the script that I sent you.
No. Well, I saw this film in IMAX in theaters. So,
yeah, we don't want the whole day, Brian. Just the film, please. I sat on row H in seat 24. Packing of popcorn. My mother was sat next to me. My brother was sat next to me. My brother's called Derek. John was at the front. Carry on, Brian.
I was just gonna say that it looked freaking amazing in IMAX, and enjoyed my experience even more since it was in IMAX. But I enjoyed the movie. I absolutely loved it, and I thought well, like there are mixed reviews upon the movie and everything, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story and most of the and all the characters that came back with that was in The Force Awakens within this film. I enjoyed, and I pretty much enjoyed that Carrie Fisher's daughter had a bigger part within this one, because in Force Awakens she was just like mostly in the background within like maybe a scene or two. But
Wait, can I ask you which one is Carrie Fisher's daughter? Who is it in the film? Who does she play?
what are you asking? Because you didn't notice her in the film?
No, I don't know what Carrie Fisher's daughter looks like.
She was the she kind of had like the Princess Leia hairstyle. She was like the blonde one with the yellow getup.
No, I don't remember. I don't remember. Did she have a big role, or was she just like a forgettable character in the background?
She had like a big, like at least a bigger role than she did within The Force Awakens.
So basically nothing. Basically 2 minutes on screen. Anyway, carry on, Brian, with your review.
Seeing Mark Hamill come back as Luke Skywalker, that I loved. I mean, he didn't really have a Jedi look to him. I mean, like when you first see him, the first scene that you see him, he had like a big Jedi look. But in the rest of the film, I didn't really seem that to me. He looked like more like a. To me, it looked like a leather jacket with a leather hoodie all attached to it.
Yeah, but he closed himself from the Force. He closed him. That's why he was on that island.
Yeah, I know, because he didn't want anything to do with the Jedi anymore because he felt responsible what happened to Kylo Ren. But I enjoyed it. Daisy Ridley as Rey, I enjoyed even more as that character. I thought she was a much more better character, better perceived character than she had within The Force Awakens. Chewie was cool too. With the what's the little characters' names that they have?
Oh God. Oh,
Is it
Pogs.
Pogs.
Porgs.
It's like Pog. It reminds me of Pogs. Pogs, yeah, Pogs.
Ah! Ah!
No.
No, but well, yeah, but seeing Chewie and Luke back, and again, like what Steven said with Carrie Fisher no longer being with us, and this is mostly her last. This is her last film. But the only one thing that was truly, I wouldn't say strange, but I thought what they were going to do was like have her killed off within this film because of her passing away. Like I thought they would rewrite a few things. Like
Yeah, but they said they didn't they?
yeah,
They already stated that they already said that they hadn't changed anything after her
I
death.
didn't know that. I thought that what was going to happen within the film. That's why. But yeah, I honestly enjoyed it. And Snoke. I think I like Snoke, even though he seemed a little bit more intimidating within this movie. I think I like Snoke better within A Force Awakens, just as like a hologram type of thing.
Is that because it was more mysterious? You didn't know who he was more. Yeah.
Yes. I think that was it. Seeing Kylo Ren as seeing like him, like I guess having him as like having like a kind of like a redemption arc throughout the film was stupid. I don't think they really should have done that. I think they should have left him as the next, I guess you would call it like a next generation Sith Lord of like.
Well, what he is, isn't he? He is. He's the next big bad.
Yeah, but
he is the big bad. Yeah.
Yeah, but they gave him like this in the film. They gave him like this redemption arc, kind of. So they like maybe he will turn good or something. But which, unfortunately, as you know, he doesn't. But well, the course of the film, halfway, sometimes you get to see like a redemption type of thing, but which I didn't think was necessary within the film. So, but other than that, I don't really have any complaints. I mean, you guys will probably have like a bit of complaints of that Leia scene. but
well, I thought she was auditioning for the new Superman.
But I love this film. The Star Wars film is absolutely amazing. Just altogether a great Star Wars film. So,
well, I'm sorry you didn't like it.
No, I loved it, and it looked amazing in IMAX. I love it.
Oh, we get it. IMAX. Lee, you didn't watch it in IMAX, did you, Lee? But did you enjoy it nevertheless?
I know you don't like The Force Awakens.
I hate The Force Awakens.
I know.
And The Force Awakens is garbage.
But to me, The Last Jedi, for me, is on par with The Force Awakens. It's sort of equal sort of movie, action movie, you know, space battles. Yeah, it was enjoyable. It was good to see Mark Hamill back, a bigger role in this one than the last one. Sad to see him go, but I'm sure he'll be back in the next one as a Force ghost. Spoilers. Yeah. Yes. What can you say? I mean, some of the scenes was a bit too long for me. Like it's not the when there was escaping on those huge like animals from the casino. That went on for quite a while, and I thought that could have been cut down or maybe just got rid of that complete scene. Really, yeah. Carrie Fisher, wonderful to see her in the last sort of role. I could have done without the Mary Poppins in space bit, but you know, yeah, it's enjoyable. It's what Star Wars should be. It's all about good versus evil, and it's a space saga. But I wish they'd bring Lando back, because he's the only one who hasn't returned now. So maybe in this new third one, he may come back so they can kill him off. I don't know. And I wish they'd give Naya Numb a larger part in the films, if you know which character I'm on about. No, that character. Yeah, I mean, he was in Return of the Jedi. He popped up in Force Awakens for a bit, and he was in the Last Jedi as well. But wish he'd give him a bigger part. But yeah, Chewbacca eating the pogs, that was, a good scene.
What about Luke? Luke milking the cow.
Why did we have to...
I know why that was put in there, because Disney, that is exactly what Disney is doing, milking the cow.
Milking the cow. I mean,
that's what really? Was in there. I think that was the deliberate, poking fun at the franchise sort of thing. I
sat there, and when that happened, I thought, really? They didn't even need to put that in. Squeezing the nipple and drinking the milk. No thanks.
It was a wink. Didn't he do a wink as well at her? He does a wink at Rey. When he does that, and then he drinks it, and then he winks at Rey.
I don't remember the wink at Rey. I know
drinks the green milk or whatever. They give Rey.
I know he winked at C-3PO.
Yeah, he did that as well. Yeah, I think he winked at Rey.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to see the little cameo from R2-D2 in the Falcon as well with Luke.
I've got a question about C-3PO. In the last film, he had a red arm, and in this one, I noticed straight away he doesn't have a red arm.
Was the red arm ever explained?
No, but it was in the Force Awakens.
Maybe he got it fixed. Maybe he got a new.
I don't know. Just there's a few things in the movie that I've got questions about, like Luke decided to kill Kylo because he sensed the dark side in him. Well, hold on a minute. He took on the most evil, powerful person in the universe, Darth Vader. Why was he so worried about Kylo?
And he made him evil anyway, really.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He saved Vader in the end. So in this one total twist of character for Luke, he was going to kill him. I don't get that bit. I mean, Vader
a lot of people have complained about that.
Yeah, Vader is more powerful than Kylo at the moment.
Yeah.
But, as I say, the Carrie Fisher floating in space, that was a bit... that, for me, could have been cut because she was floating in space, got to the airlock, and what did they do? They opened the door, but none of them all blew out. None of them all blew out. That was a no-no.
Yeah.
Well, apart from that, it was an enjoyable movie.
I think the thing is with that Leia scene, I've got a funny feeling that in number 3, which would be whatever the next film's called, they were going to explain that scene with Leia probably, but because she's died, they're not going to explain it now. I think in the next one, they would have gone, but Leia has this power. She'll explain how she escaped it. But now you're not going to get that explanation.
Well, this is why I'm thinking that Mark Hamill will come back in the next one.
Because maybe the story ends with not Rey killing Kylo, but Leia. Because maybe Leia was going to be revealed as the most powerful Jedi, and not Rey.
I mean, it also,
because nobody else can do that, as far as I know. In Star Wars, it's never happened. With the floating in space. I mean, I don't know. I'm just a casual viewer of Star Wars. I'm not a massive fan.
Can I make a presumption here?
Yeah.
Okay. This galaxy a long time ago, a long way from here, has air in the outer space. I mean, it's cold as heck, but they have air there in outer space because
they don't have air because then
all the TIE fighters make noise.
No. Air doesn't create noise in space.
No, air conducts noise. Otherwise, in a complete vacuum, it's dead silence. There is no acoustic transmission in a dead silence. So in this galaxy, because all of the spaceships in outer space make noise, okay? And all the other stuff
that's just called film.
Makes noise. Hey, listen. It doesn't matter that she was in space. It was cold. They showed her getting cold, but because they've established that this galaxy has air in it, or at least a medium with which noise can be transmitted and people can breathe and I mean all these things that are completely impossible in our general vicinity in the Milky Way and in our neck of the woods. We don't have air in our galaxy. They do. I mean, it's the only explanation for all of the scientific mumbo jumbo that Star Wars, expects you to believe. Expects you to believe that a spaceship with just a lift top is enough to protect the soldiers and the pilots inside of it. It is absolutely impossible to have any of these things make any sense at all, intellectually at all, without assuming a base assumption being that in this galaxy there is air, there is somewhat of a pressure so that your blood doesn't boil and your face doesn't explode when you're exposed to the vacuum of outer space. I mean, these are sort of axioms that you have to take into consideration when you deal with Star Wars as a universe, as its own reality. Is that it's supposedly in this galaxy, but that's a bunch of or in this universe, adjacent to us as people. But it's hogwash because there's too many things that don't make any sense in terms of normal science. Anyway.
Well, it's a fairy tale.
But Alan, that's why she can float through space.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's air.
I have no problem with the floating through space scene. Can I just add? I have no problem with that. I think that's fine. I don't mind that. Star Wars is a fairy tale.
Yeah, I just thought it was a naff scene, to be honest.
Nope, it really was. It was really like something good.
No, it was. You could have done without it. That for me spoilt the movie. That was the only bad thing in the movie, really.
But you like the rest of the movie, then?
I disagree.
Were the things you didn't like, Susan, in the movie?
Let's see. I didn't like the turning Chewbacca into a veggie. Like, that was really weird to me. I didn't like the fact that he felt guilty about eating porgs when he was, when he was not. That was not his people. I mean, if his people were meat eaters, then that wouldn't have bothered him. If his people were vegetarians to begin with, he never would have been cooking the stuff at all to begin with. That bothered me about his character, because it was like they can't decide what kind of creature a Wookiee is. I mean, and that's been, I guess, going on since the original trilogy. So, and that really grumps me out, because they're not giving the Wookiees, the Chewbacca character, that kind of thing. But I mean, it wasn't like his character was the only character in it. So.
And Lee, so you only disliked one scene then, did you? That was just, and the rest of the film you're fine with?
Well, as I said, the layer scene in space, I wasn't keen on, but that escape on those huge animals could have been cut down for me. It just went on too long.
Was that to keep the runtime? To make it. They wanted to film a certain length.
I don't know, because how long was it?
Kept it going so it could.
Yeah, it was what was it? 2 hours? 2 hours and 20 minutes or something like that.
Longer than that, wasn't it?
Was it longer than that?
It was longer than that. I'm sure it was.
But that scene for me just seemed to go on and on forever, and I thought, well, they could have cut that down a bit, I think. But did everybody, when you did see it, did everybody realise that Luke wasn't there?
Oh yeah, I knew that straight away, because he didn't see the red. Because when they move their foots in the sand, there should be red.
Yeah, the salt.
Yeah, there wasn't any red under his feet.
But he also looked 10 years younger, and he had a haircut.
Yeah.
I know, but also what that scene there as well sort of got me as well, because when he came in and he gave those dice to Leia, he held her hand and kissed her.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have felt anything, would she? Because it wasn't leaving footprints.
Yeah, but it's the Force, isn't it? It's all the Force, isn't it?
I know.
The Force, Yeah.
I'm one of those people that think. Hold on.
You're thinking too much of a Disney fairy tale. It's a Disney fairy tale, Lee.
Because she's Force sensitive.
Yeah, exactly. She's Force sensitive. But I did like that scene at the end with Kylo facing off Luke and, saying fire every single weapon and all the weapons are firing. Yeah, that was good.
Well, this is the only the Star Wars movie up to now with no saber battle, really.
Well, apart from the Force, not the Force Awakens, Rogue One.
Yeah, but we're on about that's an offshoot.
Oh,
of
there was a rogue. There was, because at the end, wasn't it Darth Vader who used the lightsaber at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, just
So
to
this
kill
is even more
the
of
kill the
that.
rebels, right?
Yeah, because
You can't count because Luke's saber and that didn't even contact or anything. He was.
I mean, that was cute, but at the same point, it wasn't. But again, I mean, I did like the movie, but there was a lot of things that didn't make sense to me. But again, that's the other problem because it's a space opera with a fairy tale and it's pop sci-fi. So that means it's going to kind of work in its own universe, and it's not really using sense because, to be honest, but in Star Wars, they've never explained how the lightsaber has energy or how you make it, which is fine because you're supposed to have some mystery. Yeah, in the books they did, but yeah, but we're talking about pop. So pop type of things, you have to shorten it, you have to condense it, and I'm wondering if the movies are suffering. The new movies are suffering from this. Yeah, there was a lot of things that I had to watch a second time because I said, that doesn't make sense to me. So if Leia flying through space or kind of flying through space, or it appears that she does, if that's almost like Twilight or some other movies where that's where the gift materializes, sort of, you know, like she's not a Jedi, but that's her Jedi gift that she can be a Force ghost before she's before she's dead. You know what I mean? It is nice too. They brought back Yoda. That was nice. I like that.
oh, I love that scene.
Yeah.
No, I did love, and it's the old Yoda, you know, the puppet.
Yeah.
It's not.
Right.
It's not any.
Yeah,
free
super
CGI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
no,
that's
that's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, that's the other funny thing too, is they actually gave C-3PO lines in this movie, not just him complaining to R2 as usual. You know, I mean, that's the thing. I'm not sure if they were doing, and the other question, just like that, you know, the other podcast that I watched, you know, if they're just doing this just to have a, you know, an adventure, not that it makes any sense, not that it has any plot, not that you can relate to it. They have quite a few characters. What's his name? Finn? And what's the guy's name? The guy that's always in the...
Poe.
I mean, he doesn't exactly make sense. And plus, it wouldn't actually make more sense if he was a clone or a twin. I understand that's partially space opera or soap opera, but some of the things he does in the movie, not to mention Rey in Force Awakens as well, I'm kind of like, is this super magic, or are they Jedi and they don't know it, or, you know what I mean? So that's the other question too, as to why it's a little
Jedi now.
A little weird.
Jedi.
Yeah, but I mean, but Luke, Yoda, and Ben Kenobi and Qui-Gon, they showed how they became, the evolution made sense. In these new movies, they're not showing the evolution, so they seem to do, you know, everything super fast, you know?
Well, let's just pass it to Steve.
Because Obi-Wan Kenobi went Force Ghost in like the first movie, it like 45 minutes in.
Right, but he was also the only Jedi in the whole thing up to that point.
Yeah, well, yeah. So anyway, I also think that Finn had an enormous character growth in this too. I mean, he ended up like, you know, with the other pilot lady, and you know there was,
what's her name now? Rose.
Yeah, you kind of see that he's growing as a
doctor,
as a character, as a being.
Okay.
No, I'm serious. Like, so I totally disagree.
Okay, we can. It's only a podcast. We're talking about fiction. We can disagree. Okay.
Just hit him with your lightsaber.
Hold on, Alan. Yeah.
Hit him up with your lightsaber.
Yeah. And then that's the other question too. I mean, I like
Homicide live.
I like the idea of an Asian character because, as we know, Star Wars does borrow from that Japanese movie and Japanese style, the robes and all that stuff.
Yeah, it borrows from a lot of that, yeah.
Right, but the other thing too is that I didn't understand her character sort of making him crash just because she didn't want him to die. Of course, that is kind of romantic.
She loves him. Yeah. She loves him.
Right, but then that was the other question too, as to whether he died, she died. and I didn't think that was well resolved. I mean, I do
Yeah,
want
did
her
she
to come
die
back,
then?
but
Was it clear that she died? No.
I'm not sure.
Like,
Not
no.
sure. But that's the other issue too, is that are they doing that just to be, diverse and or make it super quick? And then that's the problem. It doesn't seem like the first three movies you had a connection to the character. The first three prequels, it was supposed to show who. That's fine, Susan.
Hold on a second, because Lee's putting his finger up.
Okay, go ahead.
Lee's putting his finger up. What did you want, Lee? And then we're going to go to Stephen Price. No one butting in. We're going to go to Stephen Price after we've been to Lee.
Well, there was several things. One, Rose didn't die. She was on a med bed, being seen to at the end of the movie. There was the other two things. The character played by Laura Dern, one with the purple hair.
I don't know her name. Yeah.
Yeah, Laura, Colonel General or someone, Hodol or something.
No, I don't know.
Why didn't she just tell Poe what the plan was to go into the escape pods? Why did, instead of messing about, saying get off my bridge, blah blah, just tell her this is what we're going to do.
They could have got to that planet undetected. They could have got to that planet undetected.
If she'd have told him that, he wouldn't have sent Finn and Rose on that mission. What ended up, it was a useless mission anyway.
Because they brought back that guy who portrayed them.
Yeah, Benicio del Toro. But that was a good character, by the way. That was a good character. And secondly, my other question was Snoke, or whatever his name is. He wasn't explained who he was. He just appeared in Force Awakens. I thought they might have gone a bit of background because he looked ravaged, didn't he? He knew about Vader. He knows all about the Force and Skywalker. There was no backstory to him, and all of a sudden he's gone.
Well, I mean, if you look at him, well, let's be honest, he looks like someone from Hull. So I think we've got a bit of a backstory.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. I mean, someone in that power, like Snoke was, and he said, "You look like you'd been in battles, and because you'd look, they cracked down his skull and all like that." But he knew all about Darth Vader. He knew all about Luke Skywalker, and I'm thinking, well, they must have a little bit of backstory to why. Can I just say, the way Susan is sitting with that lightsaber, it looks like she's putting a middle finger up.
I know.
And also, can I just say a big thumbs up to voice actor Andy Serkis for doing Snoke. That is brilliant voice acting there again.
No, we're going to Stephen Price. Stephen, is there anything you didn't like about this film since we're on about this?
Yeah, the milking of that cow, I thought that was horrible. There was no need to put that in.
Put one in, Stephen.
The milking of the
the cow, yeah.
Yeah. There was no need for that. On the island where they filmed it, looked like Wales, dark, miserable, depressing, and wet.
I think it was filmed on an island around Ireland or up Scotland way, somewhere around that way.
I think it was Ireland. Yeah, I think it was near Ireland.
Yeah,
got a funny feeling it was. Yeah.
But anyway, I was going to say, one character you didn't spot, Eddie Hitler, Adrian Edmondson was in it. Yeah, he was in it.
That it?
No. The part I thought was brilliant was where the animals were leaving the casino. I agree with Lee, it was a bit overlong, but I did enjoy that part of the movie.
Yeah, they look like something out of they look similar to another series of animals, but like something from Harry Potter or something like that, don't they?
Yeah, and I like
they do look very similar to one of those creatures.
I like the battle with Luke at the end with his firing all everything at him. I did enjoy that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was good as well. Yeah.
It was. I agree with Lee. I mean, there was a lot of things that I don't know if they did it for time. I don't know if they thought it was going to interrupt the pacing, but there was a lot of action and a lot of reactions from the cast that I think in the first three movies would have been better explained, would have shown a little bit more of the result instead of just jumping. So it's like jump, jump, jump. And then the only thing we have in the movie is Snoke, Kylo Ren, Luke, and maybe a little bit of Leia and what's her name? The Rey. And
Right.
I think, I don't know if they're doing it so that they can say, well, it's an action movie, so we don't slow it down like Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back, where there was actually a lot of dialogue between the Emperor, Luke, and Vader, and Han and Leia. But the thing is, at least you knew the characters, you were involved in the story. Here in these two movies, they just jump, jump, jump. And then Snoke is scary, but the thing is, it seems like you have to read the books from the 90s or from the early 2000s to even be introduced to these characters, which, that kind of defeats the purpose of the movie if you don't know who the characters are, and then it takes down the stakes a little bit as well.
I want to also
but I'm just saying that well, I think he was, but that's fine. I could be wrong. It's not, doesn't have to be 100%. But I'm just saying that even so, even though the voice acting was wonderful, I like the Emperor better than I was almost wishing for the Emperor to come back. You know what I mean? I was kind of like, I was kind of glad when there's, except for the threatening or the mocking of Kylo Ren, which is unfortunately is a little too easy in these movies, which you couldn't do with Vader. Vader scared you. Vader was imposing. But this Kylo Ren, it's like he's a Vader wannabe. It's not the same.
But I feel like they've kind of killed that off, because Vader was a big part of the last film, even though he wasn't in it. But in this film, I feel like they've cut Vader off now, because I think Kylo destroying the helmet, his own helmet, that is, not Vader's helmet, his helmet, is a sign saying we're no longer going to go down the Darth Vader route. That's it. No more Darth Vader references, sort of thing. That's kind of killing Darth Vader off now. We're moving away from Darth Vader.
No, and they should. I agree with that. Yeah. But the problem is then come up with a villain that is half as good
I hate to tell you this. I hate to tell people this. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, Darth Vader is one of the reasons why the original trilogy was so good. Right. People love Darth Vader. You are never, ever going to top Darth Vader.
Right.
Don't even bother. Do something different, because
but that's the problem. Kylo. Yeah, but that's the problem. Kylo Ren is not even 25% of Vader.
But that's why they need to make him completely different. They need to make him completely different.
So that's why the other characters had dread stuff rolled into their character. It wasn't just, I mean, Luke looked like he could have turned dark any second. I mean, he was a very dark, sort of dreadful character. So was Laura Dern's character. She had a dreadful purpose in the story. So was I mean, all these characters that we've loved
I wouldn't say love.
Have dreadful purpose now. And that's really why it isn't, you don't need a Vader style character if you infuse all your light characters with a little bit of darkness. I mean, it's not
blur in the boundaries.
And let me tell you, like I really think that they've developed Poe and Finn and Rey and Kylo quite well. I think that there's been lots of development. Kylo has
I highly disagree. I don't think they have any character at all, even though I enjoyed the film.
Oh, come on. I disagree, Alan. I so disagree with you.
But sorry, but a character is a good character not because of what they can do, but what they can't do. And Rey can do everything.
She can't
So
do
she
everything.
has no character. She has no character. Rey has no character. There isn't a character to Rey. She just can do everything. That's Rey. She can do it. That's not a character.
Tell you something. There's one character in these movies what is fully rounded and it has got character, and that's BB-8. That is a full character.
Well, he
Full
is
circle. Full circle. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant, and he was brilliant. Where that alien thought he was a slot machine.
Well, I mean, that's the other question. Like I said even before the podcast, is this the problem with the popular science fiction? Is that they're so scared of losing the audience, or they're so scared of not explaining things, or not having dialogue, or not having character development, that now action is all that matters. So Rey, as long as Rey is good, and she's taking the place of Leia now, obviously, and Luke, so now everything she touches turns to gold, which is true. Everything touches.
I'll tell you what they're frightened of. They're frightened of having a lead female character having flaws. That's the truth. They're frightened of the backlash of it, because if Rey had lost to Kylo Ren or something like that, they would be branded sexist. That is as simple as that. That is the modern day we live. I'm sorry to tell you, but the reason why Rey can do everything is because they have to write it like that, because otherwise their guts will be
so in other words, she has to be new Super Leia, otherwise she's a bad imitation of Leia, basically.
She can't be hurt or damaged in any way.
Well, it was also interesting in the movie, Alan, if you think about it, I know she doesn't have any backstory either, which is another thing.
They took all the punch out.
Well, they threw a backstory in.
I know that too. But the other thing that was interesting wasn't there a sequence where her and Kylo Ren were almost holding hands or shaking hands, and then Luke comes in? No.
Yeah,
the other famous thing of the series, not only losing your hands, but always screaming no, like it's the end of the universe. So,
well, let's go to Brian, because Brian hasn't spoken a bit. Lee, go on.
I was just going off on another tangent.
Another one.
We know Peter Mayhew retired from the role of Chewbacca in the last movie. So this wasn't Peter Mayhew in this one. But do we know if Anthony Daniels was inside C-3PO? Was he inside it, or was he just doing the voice for the actor? I was just wondering if anybody knew.
You're not going to get your answer here, Lee.
Oh, well, I just like to know.
I wasn't anywhere near the set. I'm sorry, I don't really know the answer.
No, but I'm just wondering if it was another actor in the costume and Anthony Daniels was just doing the voice. I don't know. I mean, because Anthony Daniels is getting on a bit now. I thought.
Well, should we phone a friend or ask?
But he's super spry. I mean, he basically ran the.
Well, I can give you a clue.
Given Warwick Davis, that
I can
ran
give you
the
a clue.
celebration.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yes. Well,
I can give you a clue whether he was in it or not. Is yes, he was, or no, he wasn't, and it's one of those two.
Oh.
Can I phone a friend?
Yep, Brian.
I ain't got none.
Brian, what have you got any complaints about this film? Is there anything you didn't like? Any nitpicks you've got? Anything you thought, oh, that wasn't great, or?
No, not really. I mean, I enjoyed this film, so I don't really have any nitpicks or anything didn't really like. So
you didn't. There was nothing that you wanted explaining that wasn't explained. Like nothing. You thought, oh, they should have explained that.
I mean, maybe one. I mean, which is maybe I wish they would have explained upon Rey's parents. I mean, they did give...
Well, they did. They did. They're nobody, yeah.
which is not really as a big deal as a like a big reveal, because it was just the whole reveal of her parents was stupid. I expected a little bit more. Like, I wanted to go, if I made the decision, I would have chosen of them having Rey being a Kenobi.
Ooh, that's a good thing. I would have liked that too.
Because
I vote with Brian on this one.
Because
you get.
Oh, it's a vote, is it? All right.
If you remember in Force Awakens, when she has her vision, when she touches the
lightsaber, yeah.
But when she touches the lightsaber first time, you hear Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice within the vision. So, if they would have taken that route, it would have made sense that she would have been a Kenobi. So,
well, but then again, I mean, if that's the case, then he would have had to have had a girlfriend of some kind.
Well, he might have done. You never know.
Yeah, which is fine, but I'm just saying.
And he might, yeah, but you don't know. I mean, can I ask a question? Are these Jedi human? Are all these people human, or what are they?
Well, no, because you get different pieces of Jedi, don't you?
Well, I mean, that's the other question as well.
Yeah, but it's like Luke's human. It's like Luke's not human, is he, or anything like that?
It's from planet Tatooine. So, what do you call those people from Tatooine?
Yeah, but they won't be like us. So maybe they do. Maybe the males get pregnant on that planet.
Oh,
no, but there's nothing saying. No. We're thinking about us. They're aliens. Maybe the males get pregnant. I'm being serious. Yeah,
you never know.
Yeah.
Oh, the prequels made it plain that women usually get pregnant.
Oh, yes. Anakin and Padme, remember?
Oh, no, I tried to forget about that.
And Shmi.
Smee? Oh, that
Skywalker.
Captain Hook. Oh, my God.
Oh, I know.
I can never watch Peter Pan the same again.
And also, we should have gotten Jar Jar in this, too.
Oh.
Yeah, I like his character.
He's a Jar Jar Binks.
We've got
one here.
The important thing is to know that there are really good character developments, and the action was not the primary focus. I disagree with what all you guys have said earlier.
How about this? What if Jar Jar was Snoke?
No.
Well, I mean, again, I understand that this is, universe inspired by George Lucas, but I'm beginning to wonder if maybe they should have kept him on to help write a little bit, because it just seems like it's jumping around. I know they want to make it fun. I know that, I don't know if there's actually rides that you can be in the X fighter, Y fighter, TIE fighter, whatever the heck it is, or the Falcon. But yeah, it does seem to be kind of, there's very little learning curve. And I know they tried to do some development, but it felt more like plot character development as opposed to character development. And I think that's the issue here, is that they probably don't want to admit it, but they're competing with action movies. They're competing with Marvel, their own company now. They're competing.
Yeah, they're Marvel, yeah.
So the movie has to be fast, so maybe that's why they're actually trying to cut down on a lot of the dialogue. So
but I do have a question.
Have, more action.
And let's go with Lee. Lee, you've seen all the Star Wars films, haven't you? Where does this rank?
Well, as I said earlier, I rank this one the same as equal to The Force Awakens, to be honest.
At the very bottom.
No, I didn't mind The Force Awakens. and I always ranked The Force Awakens along the same level as Return of the Jedi, because that was, for me, Return of the Jedi was the most lackluster one of the original three.
Yeah.
You know, New Hope and Empire were far superior to Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
Well,
I would say that this movie is on the same level as Force Awakens and Return of the Jedi, with the prequels underneath that.
Quite a long way
I did,
underneath.
but I did like, for me, I did like Revenge of the Sith. I thought that was a better movie than the previous two. If you can get me drift there.
well, Return of the Jedi is my favorite out of the original trilogy.
Yeah, so where does this one sit on your list of favourites, Brian? Top, bottom, middle?
Well, what do you mean? Like this within this new saga?
Well, within all of Star Wars, where would you say it lies? Because what did you say your favourite was?
Within the original trilogy was Return of the Jedi.
Is that your favourite ever?
Yeah, I think so.
But does this top that, or is it just below, or what? Do you say this is the best one?
No, I mean, I couldn't say. I mean, I enjoy it, so I couldn't really say of when, like, where would be the ranking of the movie, because there's so many movies. There's the prequels, there's the original trilogy, this new saga of movies, and then there's the fill and gap movies. So I have no idea. So
No, that's just life, isn't it, Brian? You have no idea. It's just speaking in general. Stephen Price.
My top three are Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, and this one, yeah, it'll be about third, I think. Yeah.
Oh, so your third favourite. Oh, that's good. And let's go to Susan, because Alex has gone to the loo, I think, or somewhere. Where does this sit on your favourite list, Susan? What's at the top?
Well, at the very top has got to be The New Hope, and then I would vote this probably within the first three movies in terms of enjoyment. And though I really liked some of the things in the second trilogy, I would say that Rogue One is probably above them. So
yeah, I like Rogue One.
I would say this has got to be four or three or four in terms of the top ones. So anyway.
And then the same question to Alex. Where does this sit on your list of favorites?
Yeah, I'd have to say, because remember too that I'm basing it on the 70s, 80s, 90s, and now. I understand they did have to change a few things, so I wasn't expecting it to be a carbon copy. I've heard some people say that that the last two movies are basically a copy of Return of the Jedi and the New Hope. In terms of the actual movies, the original trilogy is better. There's more characters. They're more developed. You have a high point, a middle point, low point, and then they come back up with Return of the Jedi. In terms of the prequels, well, Qui-Gon was good. Obi-Wan Kenobi was good. Even the guy that became the Emperor was good, and Yoda was good. Everything else kind of suffered, and I didn't like the fact that Samuel L. Jackson died the way he did in the prequels. Let me see what else. I did not like Anakin actually as a kid, as a teenager, or even as a young adult until he turned into Darth Vader. Again, the actor was not good in that role.
What makes you say that?
Right. So when you're talking about the last three movies, Rogue One is good. I like a lot of the supporting characters, but the main characters are kind of poor, and even the villains are kind of poor, to tell you the truth. And I think they're also doing that for action, and I think they're also trying to they're trying to change George Lucas style, I think, too. And I know it's no longer his property because he sold it for $1 billion or more. I did like Rogue One. Yeah, I did like Rogue One, but there was 4 characters in there I had a problem with, including the female lead, who has less personality than Rey.
No character.
But I also don't like her as much either. I just don't feel like they're even, mostly human. They seem sort of like we're the female lead and we're just going to be the female lead, and there's no, Leia seemed more human in a way. You know what I mean? Even though I remember people complaining that she didn't have a lot to do. But she seemed more human. She seemed more, just like in, some people complain that the whole sequence in Hoth, that they just had to argue with Han to give them both something to do. But it seemed more human. You know what I mean? That's the other thing. In terms of Rogue One and Force Awakens, I barely like Force Awakens at all. If they didn't have Han Solo in Force Awakens, it would have been like, bye, I'm done. I don't want to talk about the movie. I don't want to think about it. This one, The Last Jedi, is better. But again, it depends on what you mean. I think some movies are good in the character development. I think some of them are good in the way that the characters react to each other. Again, we have the same thing about the hands being lost and crying out no in so many of the movies. But then again, they were going to have to change the movies. I mean, this is pop sci-fi, so they cannot go back to 1980 where everybody's arguing with each other and they're debating and all that. That would have slowed the movie down. Even though I would have enjoyed it, I don't think it would have been such a big success. And let's be honest, these movies are made now to make money. It's not really the story or the characters that matter. It's
now money.
Watch it. Are people going to support it? And obviously, there seems to be a strong push now. We have to have female characters, even though I think the writing is bad and they don't seem very human or humane. So that's the other question. The original ones are better. I'll give the Rogue One, 8 out of the new trilogy.
Don't worry, we're not scoring.
Not scoring. But you know what I'm saying. Yeah, but you know what I'm trying to say. I know. No, Last Jedi, I'd give probably an 8, but that's for the Luke Skywalker Kylo Ren confrontation.
And what would you give it out of 10, Susan? Since we're on final saying scores now, what would you give it out of 10?
I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah.
Yep. And let's go to Brian. What would you give it out of 10, Brian?
Me? Wow. I guess I would probably give this a 10 out of 10.
And Stephen Price, what would you give it, final say and score?
I'd give it a 9, I think.
And Lee, what would you give it out of 10?
Well, I've got a bad feeling about this. To quote Star Wars there.
Oh, right.
We saw what you did there.
That's right.
Yeah, poor Admiral Akbar got destroyed in this movie as well. No. I'm going to give it a 7.75.
A 7 point, that's pretty...
So lower than Alex.
And rising.
Is it? Bloody are you? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh no, I think Lee's accidentally activated his lightsaber. Anyway. Yes, for me, it's definitely better than The Force Awakens, which literally I would probably give like a 2. It's better than the prequels. It's on. I think it's a pretty solid Star Wars film, though. It's definitely one of the better ones, and I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm gonna give it an 8 because the film is enjoyable, but then when you do think about it, there are things that you can pick apart. You've just got to sit there in the cinema and just watch the imagery, and you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. Don't give any logic to it, because the moment you put logic into it, it starts to unravel. There's things that you go, but that doesn't make sense. And also, like Alex says, these characters are crap. I mean, come on, they're cardboard cutouts. They're thinner than paper. You know, there's no character to this, is there? There's no characters in it. You don't care about any of them. I mean, Leia's got a bit of character. Yeah, go on,
Susan, use the Force on him.
Oh.
And on that note, I think we should say good night. Yes, Stephen. So is it time to go now? I'm using
the Leia thing that brings me back to life and fly in. I can fly now.
Just because we've always been Mary Poppins.
Yes, I'll get my umbrella. Anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me here. I'd like to thank you for watching. Comment below what you made of this Star Wars film, The Last Jedi. Also, follow us on Facebook. Follow us everywhere. Look after yourself. Take care. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.